Good morning, children. Today we will do about covalent bond. What is this covalent bond? You all know very well. It is a bond formed by the mutual sharing of electrons between two atoms. You have fair idea about it. So it is a bond formed by mutual sharing of electrons. First point. Number two, what type of bonds? Normally we do say it is formed between two non-metallic atoms, but children, it is between two atoms having similar difference of electronegativities and most commonly non-metallic atoms. I repeat, that too having almost similar values of electronegativities. Better if they have the same, if not same, then almost similar, but not having large difference of electronegativities, because if they have the large difference of electronegativities, then they will prefer to form ionic bond. So between two atoms having similar electronegativities, close values, and if the same, very good. Then children, some examples, H2, O2, Cl2, etc. So you were taught this in your class 9th as well as 10th. You know the bonding of H2 from class 9th, Cl2 from class 9th, ammonia and water, they were in class 10, HCl was in class 10, it was also in class 9th. Now children, I'm showing you one example of each, because we know the covalent bonds are single covalent, double covalent and triple covalent. When they share one electron, we call it single covalent. When they share two electrons, we call it double covalent bond. And when they share 3 electrons each, we call it a triple covalent bond. So here I've drawn the electrons on the valence shell of chlorine, 7 here, 7 here, and you see this pair is coming closer and they're forming bond. So either we show one electron pair in between, or we show it by single covalent bond. So chlorine, both the atoms have got 7 electrons in the outermost shell. They share 1, so single covalent bond, and octet is complete for both the atoms. In case of oxygen, what happens? Each oxygen atom has 6 electrons in its valence shell. So each oxygen atom is running short of 2 electrons to complete its octet. So if we have 2 oxygen atoms, they both run short of 2 electrons, so they share 2 electrons each, and they form a double covalent bond. That's how it is shown here. I have not shown the electrons here, just have shown the double covalent bond, because you have fair idea about it and know very well. Similarly, in case of nitrogen, we know that each nitrogen atom has 5 electrons in its valence shell. So N5, both 5. So 3, because they both run short of 3 electrons to complete their octet. So they share with 3, and that's how a bond is formed. You can even show it this way. This is N triple bond N, likewise. So you see children, one place I have shown you the crosswise, one place I have shown you electrons, and here I have just shown you double bond, triple bond, single bond. This is single covalent bond, this is example of double covalent bond, this is example of triple covalent bond. Then carbon dioxide, carbon needs 4 electrons and each oxygen needs 2 electrons. So O shares 2 with carbon, this O shares 2 with carbon, and this carbon gets sharing of 2 electrons from both the sides. Overall, octet gets complete for all the atoms, and that's how you have CO2. Very simple. If you'll again see in the evening at home, this you can easily understand. Similarly children, you had last year class 10 ethene and ethine. I have shown you for ethene. It is CCHH. Now H will have only one bond. So HHHH, single covalent bond. So carbon, out of it has got 4 electrons in the valence shell, runs short of 4 electrons. 2 it got from this bonding. still runs short of 2. So it is sharing 2 with this. Similarly, this also carbon got 2 electrons from these 2 bonds and runs short of 2 electrons, sharing with this 2. This way, these carbons got octet complete and this H has got duplet complete and ethene is formed. Similarly, if we talk of ethyne, which the formula is C2H2, I wrote 2 carbons. I wrote HH. Now I know H can have only one sharing because it runs short of only one electron to complete its duplet. So it has shared. So H, its duplet complete in both the cases. While doing so, carbon got 1 electron here, 1 electron here. It had 4 of its own. 3 got through this bonding. It became 5. Still both the carbons run short of 3 electrons. So they both mutually share 3 electrons and hence a triple covalent bond is formed. Now children, point to be noted that whenever we have a single covalent bond, there is sharing of 1 electron pair, remember. When we have a double covalent bond, there is sharing of 2 electron pairs. When we have a triple covalent bond, there is sharing of 3 electron pairs or say 6 electrons. Right children? So suppose I ask you, in a double covalent bond, atom shares 2 electrons. One answer. Now my question is, in a double covalent bond, there is sharing of. So either the answer will be 4 electrons or 2 electron pairs. In a triple covalent bond, atom shares 3 electrons. In a triple covalent bond, there is sharing of 6 electrons or 3 pairs of electrons. Even these simple things are also asked, children. So this is how you have in short about your covalent bond. Children, we are giving required time to every bond because actually these bonds, from lower classes, so we can go in short, but there are further more bonds, many more bonds to be studied in detail, and for that we have to give time. So accordingly, keeping in mind a time limit, we are proceeding here. Then factors which favor covalent bond. One is atom should have high ionization energy, means the atom should not be readily giving out electrons. If it gives out electrons, would prefer to form ion and then will prefer or will undergo your ionic bond. So atom should have low IE, low electron gain enthalpy, low ionization energy. Then similar electron gain enthalpies, means both the combining atoms should have nearly same values of electron gain enthalpy or say electron affinity. Means both should be having same power, same energy. They both should be having same energy release or similar value of energy being released when they both add up electrons. So similar electron gain enthalpy value should be there. Or say they should have similar value of electron affinity, and here atoms should have high ionization energy or ionization potential. Then similar electronegativities. The combining atoms should have almost similar value of electronegativities. Then they should have large number of electrons in their valence shell. Greater number of electrons in the valence shell, preferably 5, 6, 7. That does not mean those which have got lesser number of electrons do not form a covalent bond. No. But generally the H forms, H has just 1 electron in the outermost shell. So it's not that only these form, but preferably which have got 5, 6 or 7. Right? Atoms having 4 electrons also form covalent bond. Carbon, hydrogen, just 1 electron, but preferably greater number of electrons. Then higher nuclear charge and smaller internuclear distance. The nuclear charge should be high, means the nucleus should be strong, right? and size should be small, so that the electrons which are in between the two atoms which have been shared up are tightly held by the force of attraction caused by those nucleus of the atoms which are undergoing bond formation. High nuclear charge. Both the combining atoms should have a good, strong, highly positive nucleus, and the distance of the nuclei of the two combining atoms should be less, so that they are easily, tightly holding the electrons in between. Electrons negatively charged and nucleus positively charged, so electrons are tightly held there. It is because of this we say the bond is rigid and directional, right? The bond is rigid and directional. Electrons are placed in the center. The bond is rigid and directional. Now, characteristics of covalent compounds. They exist as molecules in all three states: liquid, solid, gas, all three, while ionic were only in the crystalline form. All solids, no exception. Here they exist as molecules, they were as crystals, and molecules all in three states: liquid, solid, gas. Then they all have low MPBP, and they are generally not soluble in water, but soluble generally in non-polar solvents like ether, alcohol, benzene, etc. Then as I explained you, the bond is rigid and directional, because the electrons are tightly held. They are placed between the nuclei of the two atoms. So, bond is rigid and directional and exhibit stereoisomerism. The compounds having covalent bond exhibit stereoisomerism. So, children, this is for covalent bond in short, what all is required. So, this is all for this video, and we stop for this video. In my next video, I'll teach you further bonds.